Hey, what's up? This is Fred and welcome to the shed. Today I thought it'd be fun to do a little rig rundown, and I'm going to show you my amp, my pedal board, and basically my setup for live shows. This has actually been the same since Taking Back Sunday, since breaking Pangaea. I've been using this whole rig that you see right here, the exact thing, for a very long time. So let's go through it. I'll show you all the fun stuff. One of the reasons that I've been using this same setup for so long is not just that I'm a creature of habit, although I am. It's more the fact that I spent so long looking for what my setup was going to be. Before I had this rig, I was playing a Gibson Nighthawk and a PV5150 from like the mid 90s. And I just was not happy with my sound. There was a sound that I wanted, but I didn't know how to get it. So I went to many stores trying out different guitars and amps. I wound up coming across this amp, this very one, in Northeast Philly at a place called Cintioli's. Had a lot of used gear. I gave them my 5150 and got this. This is the JCM 800 from Marshall. Mine's 100 watt. I believe it's from 1988. It's the 2203 with the EL34s in it. That's the tubes. It was just one of those things where I plugged it in the store and I played it and I finally heard the sound that I was looking for. And of course, I grew up in the 80s. All the bands were using Marshall. This was the sound that I was looking for, but I was looking for it around 1998. I also own the 50 watt version of this. But live I used 100 watt. It's a little louder and it stays clean at higher volumes. This particular amp also has a modification that someone did on it before I got it. It's for high gain. It's basically just a switch on the back, and when I flip it up, it has a crazy amount of gain. When I was recording the Taking Back Sunday Louder Now album, when we were doing the leads, we liked how it sounded with that modification on. We wound up leaving it on for several days while we were tracking, and it completely burned out the tubes. We came in one day and we could not get the sound that we were getting a week before. It was completely ruined. So we took the amp and had someone replace the tubes. Still didn't sound as good. We called my repair guy in Philly, this awesome dude, Jim Walton, and begged him to fly out just to fix our amp. He said no. And we wound up calling a guy who worked for Bad Cat Amps, and I went to his apartment in, I believe, Santa Ana, and he fixed it up really, really nice. I'm not sure if those same tubes, I think I've had their tubes replaced since then, but this amp's been through a lot, I gotta tell you. Another big part of my sound is this cabinet. This is a 1970s Marshall cabinet. It has original greenback speakers in it. It's from Celestion. And a lot of you know the Celestion greenbacks because they still reissue them. But this one doesn't say greenback anywhere on it. It just says Celestion, and it has green plastic on the back of them. And that's why where they got the name from. So this speaker cabinet is really special. And to be honest with you, Eric Valentine, who recorded Louder Now, he was the producer. He told me at one time that he thought that this was the best JCM amp he had ever heard or ever recorded, but that he thought a lot of it had to do with this cabinet being so amazing. So this is still my go-to. I love it. It's a part of me. And let's turn it on and hear what it sounds like. So today for the mics, I'm just using a regular SM57. And on the bottom, I've got my new ribbon mic. It's from SE Electronics. It's the VR1, the Voodoo. Pretty happy with the new ribbon mic so far, but let's hear how it sounds. And I'm going to start out here by just going straight to the amp, no pedals. also wonder how I set my amp. I got to tell you, I have a lot of people look at my settings and they go, why do you do this or why do you do that? And I got to be honest, you just got to use your ear, you know. These amps are a bit harsh at times. They can be. So I keep the bass really high live. I actually turn it all the way up. And I get a lot of questions about that from people. Now on recording, I may, when I'm doubling up a lot of guitars, I may come back on the bass a bit. But live, I was in a 3-piece in Breaking Pangaea, so I wanted it to be as big as possible. So the bass I have up to 10. The middle is usually around 12 o'clock, maybe a little bit more. And the treble maybe a little bit back. And then I don't use a whole lot of gain. I have it about 1 o'clock or even less. And the master I just have depending on how loud I want to be. The presence, it's funny, my repair guy around here, his name's Jim Walton. This guy has been doing it for his whole life. And at one point he told me that the presence knob was the worst thing Marshall ever added to an amp. And so he would just turn it off. So I started just turning my presence off because I thought, well, the expert said that's how you do it. And then I went back to him like a few years ago, and he hadn't seen me in, you know, a good 12 years. I was out on the road, always using on the road repairman. I went back to him and I told him about the presence knob. He never remembered saying that. He's like, I don't remember saying that. I said, yeah, man, so it turned out I've been doing this thing with my amp for 25 years, and the guy who told me, I don't even know if he really thought that or not, but I listened to him, and that became a part of my sound as well. So sometimes it's things that I figure out, but sometimes someone tells me something, and I use my ear, and I go, you know what? I think he's right. I'm going to go that direction, and then it just sort of becomes my sound. So that's like more of a random thing that happened, but it's still kind of funny. So moving on to my pedal board, I have a pretty bare bones setup. It's a volume pedal, which has been there since my Breaking Pangaea days. Of course, the tuner is just a necessity. The delay I added when I joined Taking Back Sunday. They wanted a little more effects in their songs, and delay is a nice way to do that. I'm going to show you how I use my delay. I use this Line 6 DL4 because it has 3 different settings that I can do, which is convenient for me. For a little added distortion, so that my guitar can cut through, because when I joined Taking Back Sunday, I went from a 3-piece band to having Eddie Reyes in the band as well. So in order for me to cut through a little more on the leads, I added the Bad Monkey distortion, which is from Digitech. And it's basically their version of the Ibanez Tube Screamer, but I find this one to be a little smoother than the Tube Screamer. I think the Tube Screamer is a little more grainy than this one sounds. And then I have the MXR Phase 90. Of course, you all know I'm a Van Halen fan, so I like that on some of my higher leads. I'll show you how I use that as well. So first of all, the volume pedal will come over here. And the way that I use the volume pedal is is the same way I would use the pot on the guitar. This amp only has 1 channel, so I get a good distortion on here. And then the way that I go to clean is just to turn down my volume. When I used guitars before the SG, I got pretty good at reaching down and turning this up and down for dynamics. But with the SG, the knob's way down here. So I had to resort to a volume pedal at that point. So the way that I do that, let's take a song like Liar, where I'll go. And that's kind of my, that's my clean sound. And then distortion, I turn up the volume pedal. Okay, so I might start out like See, it gives me 3 dynamics there. I have the clean, and then when I push the pedal all the way up, I have the distortion of the amp, and then I can kick on the Bad Monkey for an extra loud lead sound if I want. So that's how I use that in general. The MXR Phase 90, I use that just so that I have a little more depth to my higher solos. If you take something like Error Operator, the lead that I do in there, it sounds real nice when I kick on the phase. This is what it would sound like without it. The delay that I use, you might have heard me use this on my playthrough of Decade Under the Influence that I did recently, where on the verses, a lot of people had thought that I was hitting it every time, but on the recording I actually do use this pedal, and it's sort of like... Another place that I use it is on the bridge of What's It Feel Like to Be a Ghost. And watch how I swell with the volume pedal on this to get different sounds. Sometimes swelling sounds nice with the delay. The bridge of What's It Feel Like to Be a Ghost sounds like this. That's always fun. Another way that I use this pedal, I set one of these to what you just heard, and I set the second one to a very long delay, so it sounds like this much time between, like that sort of thing. I basically set it as long as I can. And then I like to swell in, and I use this at the end of songs or for transitions between songs when I'm live. And what I do is I swell in with the volume pedal. So listen to this. I'll strum it while it's still down. My third channel I set more as like a reverb in case I need it. It'll sound like this, like. basically all I need live. I have a much bigger collection up in my studio, so I'll use a lot more than that when I'm recording. And the only one I had on here that's not on here anymore is the Digitech Whammy, which I just haven't used since Where You Want to Be. But I still use it on recordings, and I have some neat tricks that I'll show you someday with that thing. I want to show you the modification on my head as well. So this would be the switch on the back of my amp. So this is just your regular A chord. That's just going straight to the amp, no pedals. I'll switch this guy on. I don't know how you can tell there, but in the room you feel a lot more bass when this is on. It's pretty sweet for like a straight amp sound. So thanks so much for hanging out with me and checking out my rig, guys. It's a pretty simple setup, but it's fun as hell, and I hope you enjoy watching this. Thanks so much. Make sure to click subscribe and like the video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks so much. See you later.